Hey, this is Dan. I'd like to wish everyone a happy up and coming Halloween. And while we're speaking of horror, let's kind of talk about a little bit of what's going on in the world today. I think we need to have a discussion on social media, and I know this story has brought it to a head. Elon Musk buying Twitter. A lot of people are talking about social media and its impact. I know a lot of people are thinking about getting off social media. I think a lot of people are talking about abandoning Twitter. From what I'm seeing, other people are talking about going back on there. It's really an interesting dilemma, and I think we need to have a little bit of a discussion about this. I kind of wish I had somebody here to go back and forth with on this and bounce this off of, but I'll have to just be um, a one man band on this. Anyway, so let's talk about this. I've talked about this before, and I've done a short video on Twitter about it. Not on my Midwestern Geek in Cali account, but by the way, welcome to Midwestern Geek in Cali. Um, anyway, I want to get into this. So I've long held the belief that when I write something on email or I write something on social media, um, anything that's read as text, it doesn't have the verbal and vocal cues, the body language, all those things that kind of soften the message and they add nuance and layering to it. I think textual communications are read in the harshest possible terms because there's nothing there to soften it. People take it as critical. If it's the slightest bit critical, it's damningly critical when it comes to textual communications. So here we got mental health news talking about an article here where voice communication creates a stronger bond than text. Study shows there's that whole issue. I think the issue of social media being a majority textual communications platform as it is today is a huge problem for social media itself. I think we need to. TikTok is, and Reels and stuff like that. Okay, it's fun and entertaining and comical and all those little things, and everybody's going for the comedy, but that's not what I'm getting at here. I don't think that we want to go to visual communications for the point of comedy. I think we want to go to visual communications for the entire purpose of softening things, having a more rational conversation. I think we should do as little text communication on social media as possible. I think the vast majority of it should be short, brief videos, like something like the length of what you can do in a video on Twitter, but actual communications. Get on camera and say something. And here's the next thing that goes along with that. I think we need to really think about anonymity on social media. I think anonymous social media, here we go, anonymity and so on social media and its ugly consequences. Online abuse, banning social media accounts is whatever. Anonymous, anonymity and social media. It's there are very few use cases for anonymity on social media, but it really is not the best idea because people hide behind their avatars and um, their alias names and stuff, and they don't have to put their social reputation online. with the people in their everyday life. It's like they can say whatever they want, but they're not putting their name to it. They're not putting their life worth where their mouth is. I don't think that's a good thing. I think that is what is one of the between that and it's being all text. I think those two things right there are damning social media in the world today. I think they're the two worst things for social media to ever happen. I think what we should be doing is having verified identities and short video communications. Say what you're going to say, but say it in a video. Say it in your everyday speaking voice. Say it with your normal body language and put your name behind your speech. You have a right to free speech in this country, in the United States? Sure, you absolutely do. But you also have a responsibility that if you're going to exercise that free speech, that you take credit for what you say, you take responsibility for what you say, and you take the consequences of what you say. And I know in a lot of cases, every one of us makes a mistake and says something that maybe we're only thinking at the moment and later on we think better of it and those kind of things. But I bet you there will be an awful lot less of those type of instances on social media if people have to put their real name and their real face and their real voice behind the communications that they do online. I think that's absolutely critical to the future of online communications. We've got to get away from this just writing whatever you want behind a fake picture and a fake alias name. It's very cutesy in 90s, but it doesn't work in the real world, as we have ample evidence of in the divisions that this is causing. I think we need to get away from it. Okay, fine, a caption to your video or something like that in text, like a title or something like that. But say what you got to say in your real voice with your real face. I think we need to really kind of go there, and I think we need to relearn manners in a sense. Relearn respect, and part of that is saying it to someone's face or saying it using your own face. You know, this hiding behind a fake profile and all that kind of stuff. And next, we need to talk about verifying people and who they are before they can have a social media account. All right. We need some way to hold people accountable if they're going to go online and say stuff. We need to know who to credit. Not some made up name that goes nowhere and nobody knows who said that really, right? And this will also help cut down on the bots. I think bots post a lot more than people do. Now, I post a fair amount, but mostly it's sharing links to news stories, and that's different. If you're sharing a link to a news story that's on news media of some kind, I do mostly tech geek, stuff like what the theme of the podcast is. I do, like clean energy posts. I do technology posts. I do medical science posts. I do comic book type posts, Comic Cons, conventions, paranormal, but articles and stuff like that, I'm sharing links. Okay, so I throw a lot of posts out that way. But when I actually post, I'm going to start holding myself a little bit more accountable and try to avoid doing text and rather start doing short videos as much as I can. And even in my personal communications, not just for this channel. But I really, really, really think that this is an important thing, an important topic, and I can't stress this enough. Social media is divisive because I'm sorry, but anonymity and the word social media plus anonymous equals asshole a lot of the time. It just does. And I think we need to, you know, have people put their face to it, and we need to verify who's creating these accounts. And one of the ways to do that a good way, and I've suggested this in another video elsewhere, is like when you sign up for Google My Business, right? You sign up for a My Business account with Google and you put in an address for that business. Google will actually mail you a paper postcard. You know, they send you something on paper, okay? On paper here. And I'm going to switch over for a second here so I'm full on the camera here. All right. But yeah, on paper. They send you a code on paper, and you actually have to receive that at your mailing address and then enter that code. And it takes 2 or 3 or 4 days for this. Yeah, I mean, it goes through the postal mail. So it's a legit, you're sending, yeah, they're sending this code to a legitimate address on paper and verifying people's identity that way. Now, Facebook, if you lose everything nowadays, you can actually upload a copy of your actual ID, like a driver's license or a state ID or something like that. Um, I think we need to start going to these measures. And okay, so if somebody has a business account in addition to their personal account, like I have Midwestern Geek in Cali, on top of having my own Dan Stafford stuff online, yeah, that's fine. But if it's coming, if you're getting a business or channel type account that's themed like that, and it's a sub account maybe of your personal account, then it's tied back to a verified identity. And people have to take responsibility for what they say online. They can't just go spouting any old crazy old BS out there and any wild wackadoodle thing they can think of and not have it tied to who they actually are and what their actual face is. You know, we need some practicality in the matter, right? We need to get a sense of responsibility, a civic responsibility. We have a responsibility to this country to you know, we can't just, it's not just about politicians running the country. As citizens, it's our job as part of a democracy to actually do our duty and pitch in and when we say things online that regard how this country gets run, we need to have a civilized conversation and discuss policy and not just wackadoodle attack each other with the farthest out thing we can think of. All right. This isn't football. This is real life. And okay, a lot of social media is about fun. I don't like to dive into politics too much, but either side, I have friends on both sides of the aisle. I have friends on the far left, on the far right, and in the middle. You know, I have friends all over the world for that matter. And I'd really rather have us be able to have an honest conversation with honest opinions and discuss policy issues rather than throw insults at each other from behind a fake profile. You know, if we're going to have to discuss that kind of stuff, and there are times when it's necessary, we need to discuss it rationally. We need to remember that we're all human beings. We need to remember that we're in this together. You know, all right, we're trying this idea. If that doesn't work, we try this idea, and that if that doesn't work, you know, if we don't sit down and hash it out together, if we keep doing things the way we are, nobody's going to win. This is not going to be good. You know, and it's not already. If you take a look around at what's happening on social media, not to mention how much time social media eats up. That's a whole nother topic. You know, social media sucks up a whole boatload of time because I remember long before social media when I could actually read a book cover to cover and it was like uninterrupted. I could read all day long if I wouldn't get interrupted by another person needing attention in person. There was no online, right? Now I go to read a book and I'm so used to my attention being snapped away every 30 seconds by a pop-up ad or a pop under or survey or sign up for our newsletter before I can get one paragraph into the damn story that when I go to read a book, now I start reading in the first paragraph, my eyes jump, where's the pop-up? My brain has been trained that way and I know the difference and it's not good. It's not a good thing. We've lost a lot of dedicated concentration and focus and the ability to long-term focus on a single task to the point of doing it well. Um, you know, we that's really necessary for a lot of things that we do in life. So we need to find some ways of making social media a little more tame in that regard too. But that's a whole nother level. What I'm getting at right now is how nasty and divisive and just rotten social media has gotten, and it's because everybody takes everything you type in the nastiest way possible, and people say the nastiest things they can get away with when no one knows who they really are. It's those two things. So I think make a short video and say your point that way. Forget these, little one sentence memes. Yeah, that's quick and easy, but it's, like a bullet point. It doesn't cover everything. And it certainly doesn't convey your voice, your real voice and the way you would say something when somebody needs a little light nudge. Hey, that might not be the wisest thing to do. Instead of just throwing a meme at them that has a big blast like a exclamation point with the text across it that says you're an idiot, and that doesn't really come across too well, and it doesn't really help anybody make a better decision in the least, nor does it lead to a healthy debate. Yeah, so we really need to think about this a little bit and step back and really think about, you know, for those of us who came around of age in the world of paper, as I like to call it. I call it the world of paper when everything was on paper and the phone was hanging on the wall and you had one phone for the whole house. And you had a whole day free of any notifications, distractions. You might get 5 notifications a day. Your mom was saying, all right, dinner's ready. Or your sister might be saying your wash is done or something like that. Or you might get a phone call, but those were rare when you got phone calls from across the country because it was like 25 cents a minute for a long distance way back. Yeah, and that was a lot of money then because, yeah, people didn't make what they do now. But it was different. Your attention span wasn't pulled in 50 different directions like a mandala of taffy, like it is now. So that's a huge difference. And really, to get life in a more sane direction, we need to at least make people take responsibility for what they say online. You know, take credit. If you're going to say it, take credit for it. That's that simple. And say it in a way where your message is not just going to blast somebody. I mean, yeah, okay, there's people who love to do that. Fine. If you do that in the real world, if that's the way you would say it in the real world, then why can't you say it in a short video instead of texting it at somebody under a fake name? Right. Say it under your real name, just like you would in the real world. But then again, if you get some, blowback, yeah, well, maybe the blowback should be in video too, in people's real voice with their real name. Tend to have a lot less arguments that way and a lot more polite discussion is what I'm really getting at. So I think we need to revamp social media. I think we need to make it more person to person or as close to that as what you can do with digital technology. And I think we need to make people accountable for what they say. We need to get rid of the fake accounts and the bots. we need the advertising to online to be pertinent but less distractive. All right, and advertising I know is a necessary thing to make people aware of what's available, but it doesn't have to rob them of the ability to concentrate online. There is such a thing as going too far. All right. So I really wanted to say, let's call this the Halloween episode, the horrors of social media as it is today in 2022, and versus the kind of cotton candy version of the same that we had back in the 1990s, because I was there in the early 2000s. I mean, I was an early adopter, and I'll tell you what, it's kind of like CB radio in a way. Back in the 70s and early 80s, CB radio was much more polite. You didn't swear on there. You didn't um, get nasty, and it was actually illegal. I mean, you could get fined for it back then. Yeah, and now people just cuss up a storm and get. I got away from CB radio because it turned into so much gutter talk. Yeah, and for the same reasons, because yeah, although it was vocal, people were using handles. Like that's where the word handle originally came from, as far as I know, was from CB radio, and people would just go by their handle. Okay, and yeah, I had a chat room handle, which and back in the day, and I still have it on some of my accounts today. But bottom line is we need to become real people, and we need to have real conversations as adults and actually do our duty by our country and our fellow citizens by being responsible in our communications. Look, we're not politicians. We're out here trying to live real lives and make things better for our families, our friends, and ourselves. And it's one of those things. If we can have discussions about policy instead of attacking each other, we're going to be a lot better off, all of us. You may not like everything that gets done, but there's always another suggestion. Well, if this isn't working, having a real conversation about it instead of just slamming each other is going to get a lot more accomplished, I think, in the world, and I think we'll all be better off for it. So I'd like you to consider what I'm saying here in the spirit that it's meant. Let's take the horror story of social media as it is today and turn it into a happy ending. We could do that if we all just chose to use that little short video and use our real name behind our communications. Hi, I'm so and so, and this is what I think about this. Or let's stop with the fake blasting and start with the real discussion and getting things actually accomplished. Because if we leave things the way they are, it's just going to go to and the old way to say it was hell in a handbasket, and it seems like it's headed that direction now. So I've said my say. I've said my say in more than one way. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but on that note, I think there is hope for the future if we can all agree that we need to take this anonymity and actually have conversations instead of just typing at each other madly. We might have a better world for it, and it's worth a try. What it's worth a try if we try it that way. And then maybe if it gets to be enough of us doing it, maybe we just start ignoring the people that don't, and if they want to be heard, they'll have to take actual responsibility and credit for what they say, and say things with a little bit more care and thought behind it. Yeah, so that's my take on it. I hope everyone has a wonderful Halloween. Uh, we've got the holidays coming up real soon here, and um, Thanksgiving and Christmas. I hope you and your families all have a wonderful holiday season. I might get another video or two in here during that time, but I thought it was worth saying this. and saying it as emphatically as possible without being mean or nasty about it and being really who I am. I'm not hiding my face and I'm not hiding my name. Hi, I'm Dan Stafford. I'm your host of the Midwestern Geek in Cali YouTube channel. Used to be a podcast, now it's a YouTube channel. And I like to call myself the Agent of 42, just that's a sci-fi thing. But happy Vulcan fingers to you all. Now, peace and long life. And may there never be a rogue wave in your coffee mug. And I think there'll be less of them if we do things the way I'm saying. I hope people take that in that spirit, because what I'm saying here, despite the emphasis I'm using, I'm trying to make things better for everyone. And I'd like you to really consider what I'm saying, and consider maybe making a movement out of it if you hear me, if you feel me, if you get what I'm going for here, and if you think it's worth trying. So you can always find us at MidwesternGeekInCali.com. That'll take you to the blog site. And real quick, I'm going to show you something that YouTube did lately. They call this YouTube handles again. Okay. Um, hmm, I think I need to switch OBS over so that you guys can see the desktop on the PC real quick. All right, there we go. So this is called a YouTube handle, and you can now find me a whole heck of a lot easier. YouTube.com/ at Midwestern Geek in Cali. It's that simple. That's set up now. Currently got 42 subscribers. Yay, 42. The agent of 42. I was not joking. That's a sci-fi thing. I was kind of cheesed when I hit that particular number, just because. And I will get this video up shortly. Everyone have a wonderful holiday season, and I hope Thanksgiving goes great, Halloween goes great, and Christmas goes wonderful, and you guys get lots of goodies and lots of presents, and have a wonderful rest of this year. And maybe let's see about making next year better. Yeah, that might be a good thing. So until next time, I'll get another episode out as soon as I can. Oh, I need to show you one other thing. Myself and my coworker Matt are doing a new YouTube channel, and so we are doing one called Beeping Edge Tech Review, and this is not going to be about playing. This is going to be about tech. We're both IT instructors at a school together for over a year. I was there for 4 years. He was there for about a year and a half, and we worked together. And yeah, that's gone by the wayside. But we are now going to do a YouTube channel together, and it's going to be Beeping Edge Tech Review. So all you got to do is go to beepingedge.com, and there you go. That'll take you right into the YouTube channel. We just have the intro video up now. We're looking at probably Wednesday to get our first video up. And if you stop here and take a look at the intro video, Matt will introduce himself as well. We'll talk a little bit more about who the both of us are, and I say give it a try, because it's a very different flavor than Midwestern Geek in Cali is. But on that note, have a wonderful holiday season. I'll catch you at the next show. And again, happy Vulcan fingers to you from the Agent of 42, and all that good fun stuff. All right. Happy Halloween. Boo.